There might be people who unsubscribe because of some of the things I'm about to say. This is probably going to be a controversial take on oil changes. As you can see, not the Mustang. It's the daily. That's fine. Daily needs oil changes just like the old race car. That's how we get from A to B. If you're here to learn about how to do an oil change, not the video. Basically, this is just going to be my controversial take on some of the myths or things people say or how people look at oil changes. And we're going to change the oil. When do you use badass racing oil? Probably when you go do badass racing stuff. But for your truck, it's got a lift kit. Maybe it's got air intake. No, you don't need that. You don't need that to go run 5 days a week to your 40-hour a week job. You don't need it, right? So reasons that I find acceptable to buy an expensive oil that has a certain additive, certain characteristics, certain reasons as it would cost twice as much would be for it does a specific engineered thing, like withstand hot temperatures for extended periods of time for, say, I don't know, racing or some sort of extreme service. Other than that, OEM does just fine. So what kind of intervals do you do this at? 3,000? Maybe. 5,000? Maybe. 10,000? No. 15,000? Definitely not. Definitely not. But if you ask me, you should be checking your oil. And as soon as it's unable to be seen through, has a dark tea color, you should probably start getting ready for that oil change. Just saying, right? Now, say you run, I don't, this is gas, I can't speak for diesel trucks, but say you run E85 a lot. Well, guess what? Even in the common vehicle, I've seen fuel dilution getting into the oil. Change a little more often. 3,000 miles, you should probably start looking for that change interval. But if you run a petroleum-based fuel primarily, 5,000 might be that ballpark you're going to look for, but you're going to be checking. Don't go off the dash, because that's probably just a fancy mile trip meter. Go off what the oil looks like, and that's going to be the most reliable to make sure you get the right interval time periods. If you could put a catch can on your vehicle, I highly recommend it. This is gross. It's so nice having this UPR oil drain plug. Cool. Some people will say, oh, you gotta run thicker oil than what's listed for your engine. You have to run thinner oil than what's listed for your engine. Well, let me tell you my understanding. If you run thinner oil, sure, oil is going to get everywhere in the engine. It's going to pump it. Oil pump's gonna pump. It's gonna go all to the drain passages. But thinner oil means all those tight tolerances and bearings and things that reciprocate in the engine and move and rely on a nice film of oil between it, well, those things are going to get closer. Or that barrier that the oil provided to prevent it from making contact from each other and grinding is not going to be there anymore. So, sure, you might get better fuel mileage if you run thinner oil, but there's probably going to be an opportunity where you might, floor it, accelerate, or put it in a brief momentary stress. And guess what? That's going to be that moment where you absolutely just tear up the engine from using too thin of an oil. Too thick of an oil. You probably need to have a good understanding with engines. And like I said, there are tolerances between the engine, and it relies on a nice thin barrier of oil to prevent those things from grinding, keep them lubricated, make sure they do their job, they keep staying in motion. But if you run a thicker oil, yeah, thicker oils, it's going to, oil pump's going to pump, it's going to move it all throughout the engine. But it being thicker, or let's say an extreme of being too thick, if it's too thick, you may not get oil everywhere. It may not pass through at the correct flow rate. It might not, might not work too good. So keep that in mind. But there are tons of applications where it is absolutely okay and necessary to put a thicker oil. Okay, that's just how it is. Racing the Mustang 5W50 gives excellent protection. On your daily, that might just be excessive. You might be just paying way too much for an oil for no reason. Okay. Let's talk about synthetic versus conventional. Supposedly, there's a group of people who think that if you've been running conventional all your vehicle's life, and then all of a sudden you swap to synthetic, you can't go back to conventional. Absolutely wrong. You can put whatever oil you want. You can swap back and forth. You can even mix the two. All right? Nothing's going to happen. This is probably going to get some attention. Your oil filter, this is a new one, by the way. If you pre-fill it, good for you for going the extra mile for no reason. You can fill this guy up. Some of them, when you turn it sideways, upside down, whenever you go to put them on, it's going to pour out. There's a few on the market that do hold the oil in there. These, they don't do that. Also, this rubber gasket that's meant for sealing, I just want to let you know, you guys are putting lubricant on a rubber seal that is going to seal against a machined surface. Okay? Keep this in mind. You're making a lubricated surface easier for this thing to rotate off, if anything. It's unnecessary. It's unnecessary to lube this guy up. That's why they put the rubber gasket there. That's the point. That's the job it's supposed to do. It's going to seal because it's a machine surface on the engine. Again, you guys are going for bonus points that aren't there. So, if you are tightening, if you are tightening your oil filter, anything tighter than hand tight, you're the problem. If it's for revenge, I hope it was worth it. If you can't get your oil filter off, why don't you think of what you've recently done? If you put in less oil than the manufacturer recommends to go inside of the engine of your vehicle, you're about to get a new vehicle or a new engine. If you are putting in way more than the manufacturer said to put into the engine, who knows where it's going to come out? Because way too much engine oil, it's not meant to hold that much. It might get hot, it might get up to pressure, and it might come out somewhere. We don't know where. The heads, the coolant system, by the transmission, remain seal, blow by. Who knows? But definitely don't confuse this with throwing in, say, an extra half quart, 3/4 of a quart, 1 quart, if you have a good reason for, say, performance reasons. But you understand the reason is why you are putting that extra quart or however many is because you're avoiding engine starvation through a scenario. Now, does your vehicle go through engine starvation through certain conditions? That's for you to do a little research. And hey, spend more than 5 minutes on Google before you decide you need more engine oil into your engine. Since we did the oil change, let's check the air filter. Looks pretty good. Did you notice I don't have K&N stickers? Caution, do not change K&N filter on top of my airbox. Guess what? We know what they look like. It's okay. You don't need... Stop bragging about your drop-in filter. If you felt called out in this video, and if you feel like those spicy emotions that has urged you to comment down below your thoughts of how I feel about some of the things that perhaps you disagree with, just know it's okay to disagree. And don't be surprised that if you say some off-the-wall stuff in the comment section, you might get an off-the-wall response. I'm not picking a fight here, okay? All I'm saying is just how I feel about oil changes and how I approach things with oil changes. And don't worry, my vehicle, almost 100,000 miles, by practicing these things that I've preached in this video. Runs just fine, like a top. Common. This truck's ready for another 5,000-ish miles of service, and it's going to get me commuting to and from my 40-hour work week just fine. Okay, so look, the important takeaway is that you do maintenance, period. All right, that's the important takeaway, that maintenance is being done. We all have our own methods, we all have our own reasons. It's okay if someone does it a different way. It's okay if someone uses different products than you. It is okay if you have a different methodology, theory of what you do to protect these appliances that get you to and from point A to point B. So hit a like down below, comment your thoughts, whether they're angry and emotional or applauding me for just being so awesome. And if it's your first time here, why don't you think about subscribing?